So, we're going to talk in this episode a lot about neural processing units, NPUs, which I don't know that much about. I know that they are an AI accelerator alternative to a graphics processing unit. So, we have had episodes on the show in the past that have talked about alternatives to GPUs as an AI accelerator. But this episode, we're going to talk a lot about NPUs, specifically neural processing units, and that is not something that we've talked about on the show specifically before. So fill us in on what neural processing units are.
Be my pleasure to, John. So they're fairly new. NPUs stand for, as you said, neural processing units. They're maybe a year old in terms of being out on the market. The very first ones that came into the market were with Intel's Meteor Lake chipset, which launched sometime around this time last year. So I'd say fairly new kid on the block. Why they're exciting is because if you think about the devices that they are incorporated into, which is your average laptop or a desktop even, right? But a PC that is used by your everyday knowledge worker, it's used by individuals for their personal use, but just your typical PC. For the longest time, we've had CPUs in these PCs. For many, many years, we've had GPUs or graphics processing units, and those are integrated and discrete. Integrated graphics processing units or iGPUs are more common, have been more common for many, many years. The NPU is the newest kid on the block. So what they do is it's a very, I'd say, purpose-built architecture that is designed to do one thing really, really well, which is matrix math. So, and just because it is almost hard-coded to that extent, it is extremely efficient in terms of power consumption for those kind of multiplications and additions in a matrix, which is essentially the building blocks, as you know, for AI and ML workloads. So this is super important for your average PC because, yes, you can run AI and ML on the box on the CPU and the GPU, but your battery isn't going to last very long if you keep that up.
Gotcha. So it's more efficient. So an NPU, it would be a replacement for a GPU for training or inference time running of a machine learning model, probably particularly a deep learning based model, like a large language model. Most kinds of foundation models out there, those are all based on a deep learning architecture. Those have tons of matrix multiplication and addition, as you say. And because the NPU is designed for that specifically, instead of being general purpose like a GPU is, originally designed and still today is used for all kinds of uses like rendering graphics, a graphics processing unit, or mining Bitcoin. An NPU wouldn't necessarily be great for rendering graphics or mining Bitcoin, but if you're training or running an AI model, an NPU will be more efficient. So on your PC, for example, there, it'll save you battery power. It might be more efficient as well, perhaps in terms of time.
The NPUs, at least for now, I think the future holds a lot more possibilities. But for the time being, for the foreseeable future, I'd say the NPUs are most suitable for inference workloads. So I think you still need GPUs for training, fine tuning. NPUs are going to be amazing for AI in production or consumption by people, right? So your data scientists, AI engineers, app developers, they're going to use a workstation to build these AI capabilities. Guess what? They're building it for someone. Someone's going to use them. And it's, think about the average knowledge worker. They're going to start using on the box capabilities that allow them to do anything from, use AI to really accelerate productivity for anything from just asking questions to a assistant that can quickly give them the answer from a vast knowledge base to even embedded into a workflow, right? Which is where you get into a little bit more into agentic and multi-agent workflows, which is, again, I foresee that in the future. But the point I'm getting to is you're really going to use an NPU for inferencing, and that is where you would get. That's where your efficiency matters, right? That's why your average knowledge worker is going to use something. You don't want to start offloading AI features to a device only to tank its battery life. That's going to lead to a pretty bad experience in the long term, right? So it's pretty important to keep that in mind, that while you can, while you still need GPUs and high-powered workstations to build your solutions, NPUs are perfect for those being consumed by the average person.